welcome to Shouting at News. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, the things that everybody tells you to do on YouTube. A follow-up to our recent video on Tommy 10 Names Robinson and his arrest, given the speculation that's been doing the rounds on the internet. Tommy was in Canada to pry open some racists' wallets on a tour organised by his pals Rebel Media, and naturally to smooze with the likes of Kermit-voiced pseudo-intellectual Jordan, I don't understand lobsters, it's soft grandma, the Chinese are using medical milking machines for artificial insemination, Peterson. Thankfully, things didn't go quite as planned. Now, if you're wondering how Tommy managed to slip through into Canada given his rap sheet longer than Farage's sagging bossack, you're not alone. He even trumpeted it on Rebel Media that he hadn't booked a hotel because he didn't think he'd get in. Real professional, Tommy. We'll sort it out now, he said. They did, in fact, not sort it out. In the business, we call this foreshadowing, or as grifters call it, the setup. Fast forward to Friday and enter the ever-vigilant gaze of the Canadian Anti-Hate Network, and many thanks to them for providing information for this video. They penned a letter to the immigration authorities, politely pointing out that Tommy already had sent up a flare announcing his arrival. And of course, Canada dispatched a bearded lumberjack of a man in a red plaid shirt and a cavalcade of SUVs to swoop in and nab the bastard. He was forced to surrender his passport and to stay put in southern Alberta. So much for the grand tour. But it gets juicier. Bethan Nodwell, a leading figure in the Canadian far right, a Holocaust denier and an all-round fascist blonde clone wife, has dropped some bombs and inside information. According to her, Tommy's arrival in Canada quickly descended into a debauched bender. A dinner that turned out into being a cocaine and vodka-fueled escapade, complete with a pit stop to a massage parlour, because nothing says, I'm here to defend Western values, like a late-night romp with some sex workers. Now, the kicker is Nodwell claims that Tommy knew he would be arrested, and that this was all part of a cunning plan to drum up cash due to dismal ticket sales for his tour. Imagine that. The man who can't fill a room decides the best way to turn a profit is to get himself nicked and start yet another fundraising campaign. It's almost like The Boy Who Cried Wolf, except the wolf is a neon flashing sign saying send money. According to Nodwell, whilst returning to the hotel, Tommy confessed, the tour's over, we've sold no tickets. 60 tickets to be precise. Bit shy of the 80 grand they were hoping to rake in on the tour. So the plan? Head to Calgary and get arrested and let the donations flood in. And sure enough, the moment Tommy was in cuffs, the Free Tommy Robinson campaign was live, domain name and all. We have reached the hook part of the grift. Nodwell went on a rant urging people not to donate, calling Tommy out for his hypocrisy. Close your wallet, you're being had.
Tommy, if you are doing drugs and you're doing drugs with prostitutes, like, you're not defending women. Who runs these brothels? Like, it is Muslims, it is Indians, it's the Chinese. Who are they exploiting? Like, marginalized, maybe some white girls, minority girls, like, you're exploiting women, and you're supposed to be out there defending our white girls, you know, from Rotherham. Like, that was the line for me.
Tommy, of course, remains silent on these allegations, too busy cranking out more fundraising videos because if there's one thing he's consistent about, it's his dedication to fleecing his followers. A sniffing Tommy 10 Names Yaxley-Lennon was even able to film from the back of the police car whilst in cuffs, still trying to spin bullshit.
Can I ask you who's made the order for my arrest? The Minister's Delegate. Who's the Minister's Delegate?
One of the officers.
One of the what?
One of the officers.
One of the officers. Is that government?
So,
just
the director with the CBSA.
A director with who?
CBSA, Canada Border Services Agency.
A director with the CBSA
Signed.
has signed the order to have me arrested.
It's worth noting that the far right are a bunch of paranoid, swivel-eyed, shit-throwing gibbons, narcissistic to a fault and mistrustful of each other as they are of everyone else, frequently purging their own ranks, looking for spies in their midst, and generally jockeying for position like a bigoted donkey race to be the one charlatan their shared audience pays attention to. So we do have to take her allegations in that context. We can at least chortle at the fact this has started another right-wing infighting. And speaking of these fundraising campaigns, let's take a stroll down memory lane. Rebel News, Tommy's well-oiled hype machine for fleecing dim racists since 2017. Grifters call this guy the shill. The URLs like savetommy.com and tommytrial.com aren't new inventions whipped up in a crisis. These digital relics date back years. A bit of internet archaeology reveals that SaveTommy.com was purchased back in 2017 and Tommy Trial came along in 2018. These URLs have been reactivated more times than Marvel superheroes, each time repurposed for the latest in Tommy's long list of legal dramas. For instance, SaveTommy.com currently redirects to a landing page from November 2020 featuring Rebel News' coverage of Tommy's previous legal woes, and TommyTrial.com has been archived back to 2018, redirecting to yet another page chronicling his court battles. It's as if Rebel News has a template ready to go. Insert Tommy's latest racist misadventures here. Now comes the pièce de résistance. The URL tommytour.ca was only purchased on June 17th, 2024, the very day he arrived in Canada. Talk about planning ahead. Even the free Tommy t-shirts were quickly back on sale. They aren't exactly fresh off the press. These shirts have been part of Rebel Merch's lineup for years, simply dusted off and re-promoted to squeeze every last drop out of Tommy's perpetual self-victimhood. Tommy, of course, is no stranger to legal woes. Assault in 2005, entering the United States illegally in 2012, mortgage fraud in 2014, various public order offences and contempt of court in 2018 and 2019. There was more than enough for Tommy to reasonably know that he would not be allowed into Canada. The fact that the tour website wasn't registered until the day of the tour speaks volumes. Almost as if he planned to go and get nicked for yet another fundraising campaign as a wheeze. Now we reach the tertiary part of the con, the man the grifters call the roper, this monotone, disgusted of Tunbridge Wells tool, struggling with reading to camera worse than a nativity play.
Hello there. So Tommy Robinson goes to Canada, and he and Rebel News are surprised and delighted that he is allowed in. And then the Calgary police turn up. "Will you come into my parlour?" said the spider to the fly. And since then he's been on a roll over there with some successful events.
There is a white boy out there like looking for cocaine, guys, and if something happens to him, this is going to be a fucking international incident.
And he's been well received by most Canadians as far as I can tell.
And so we did lean into Ravi, the drug dealer, and said, where the fuck is he? And this kind of thing. And we are going to roast you and cook you if you don't. And so he gave us the number of a massage parlor. Like, right, tour's over. We've sold no tickets. I think they'd sold like 60 tickets. And I'm thinking, like, how are they going to do $80,000? And
Once upon a time, joyless tools like this were just limited to shouting at youths for smoking a spliff and being an absolute hemorrhoid on the parish council. Now he's propped up on YouTube to promote moon-howling nonsense as awkwardly as a tranquilised elephant steal with a speak-and spell. So there you have it, folks. Tommy Robinson, the man who went to Canada to preach about integrity, only to end up showcasing his lack of it. It's a tale as old as time, or at least a tale as old as the last time he got arrested. I've been Plague Dr. Jim, and this has been Shouting at News. Go on, shoo, we're done here.